He's the founder of Navi organization, the premier cyber law portal in India, and founder chairman of Foundation of Data Protection Professionals in India, that is FDPPI. Navi is a visiting faculty in a number of institutions, including NLSUI Bangalore, Nalsar Hyderabad, BMS Law College Bangalore, etc. He is also a guest faculty in NPA and several other organizations. Navi's pioneering works in the field of cyber law and data protection include cyber evidence archival, online dispute resolution, the ITA 2008 compliance framework, IISF 309, data protection compliance, standard of India as a framework, data trust score, mechanism, data valuation standard of India, etc. Navi is the leading consultant for compliance of HIPAA, IT 8008, GDPR, and the Emerging Data Protection Act in India. Navi is also a well-known netizen activist. Sir, I would like to welcome you, sir. Kindly please give him a huge round of applause. Thank you.
So good afternoon, friends. Yeah. So since morning we have been discussing about fintech in general. I will assume that all of you have understood the scope of the term fintech, which is a way of applying technology to financial industry in a sense. We know of the industry like banking and other things, and whenever we use technology, how it affects the transactions, we try to study it under this FinTech. What I would like to also try to discuss is how our life has changed because of the advent of this technology. In fact, how the digital planet has risen out of whatever we thought was the kind of planet which we were living in earlier. Okay. Some technology problem. Duplicate. ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್
ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಇದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್
ಓಕೆ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್
ಇದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್
ಡೌನ್ ಓಕೆ yeah. I call this as the conquest of the planet because digitization has taken over our life, not only in the fintech but on our entire life. In fact, we know that the internet and related technologies initially started as a social communication platform. In the olden days, we had the kind of email kind of platforms, but slowly we started using internet for commerce. In another sense, we started making use of internet for money making. The early part of internet was a service. Actually, it started as a wartime service and then it became a service for exchange of information amongst educational institutions. That's why we used to call internet as the information superhighway. But the moment commercialization entered, which was a natural development of the technology, e-commerce, e-governance both came, then the situation actually changed. In fact, today we are so dependent on data. If you lose your Aadhaar, perhaps you are no longer an entity. In US market, maybe the social security number, here Aadhaar. Our dependence has increased over a period of time. In fact, today we are all no longer citizens, we are actually netizens. That's why if you ask me what is my address, I may not say so and so Banshankari or something like that. I may say my address is navi@navi.org or something like that. In fact, several years back, I used to have a visiting card where I used to only say navi@vsnl.com. At that time, vsnl.com was there. Everything else was irrelevant. So that is the kind of transformation which we have seen. What this has also meant is netizens. Today we say that internet penetration across the world is around 69%, maybe that or maybe less. But a substantial number of citizens of a physical planet have become netizens, are in a way citizens of the internet or digital society. I used to call them as netizens. Okay. Now, today, in the last few years, what has happened is netizens are becoming more and more aggressive. Citizens are docile. The balance of power is changing to the netizens. Initially, we used to recognize something called digital divide. We used to say that internet, whatever you want to do, please ensure that there is no digital divide. That is, people have to be, people who do not use internet should be able to carry on their activity as they were doing earlier. Today nobody talks about it. Technology, if it is there, if we introduce it, if you don't adapt to the technology, it is your headache. Today you open a bank account, whether you ask or not, they will issue a debit card. Even if a 80-year-old person goes to the bank and opens an account, his net banking will be activated. His cards will be issued. Whether he knows what is net banking, what are the security requirements, what is the knowledge requirements, whether he is able to operate, nobody asks, because that is what I call as aggressive way of implementing technology. In a way, it is creating a problem. That is why one of the things we need to do is to ensure that this conflict of the two societies between the citizens and the netizens, we have to ensure that is reduced. We have to harmonize it. That is why I took the analogy of the digital planet. In fact, many of us are both citizens and netizens. In fact, last 3 years, we never addressed a gathering like this. We used to sit behind the computer and use Zoom. We continue to do that, but wherever it is possible today, we try to use a hybrid model. I think even this program is a hybrid model. Maybe you are also on the YouTube right now. So therefore, we are all both citizens and netizens at the same time. That is the new category of people we are creating. I don't know what terminology we should use. I have tried to use citizens, okay. They are citizens and also netizens, but somewhere hybrid. Now, along with this digitization of a person, like a person becoming an Aadhaar, Viajayshankar becoming Navi at vsnl.com or whatever is that, our assets have also become digitized. You are all aware of one of the early ways in which we recognized assets can be digitized was in the Demat shares. All our shareholdings are put into a Demat platform. Today, if you are having any share certificates of the olden days, it is very difficult to make use of that as an asset. Unless you convert it into dematerialized form, you will not be able to sell. So whether it is a Tisco share or a Reliance share having lot of market value, because it is not in digital form, it loses its value. So that is how our assets have become digitized, and digitization has become almost a mandatory process for our assets. In the same way, bank balance also has gone into digital form. In fact, much before other countries, I think we are far ahead today. Our digital payments is in excess of even China and USA. Now, look at the future developments. Today, you have heard of autonomous cars. What is the meaning of autonomous cars? My car driver has become virtual. Car is still physical. I go and sit in the car, but it drives on its own. Google is driving it. So this is virtualization of the driver. Okay. You can say how digitization has integrated with the physical world. Physical car is there. I am a physical person. I want to travel from here to say airport. I have a car, but I don't need a driver. It is an autonomous car. That is the kind of virtual world we are trying to move in. Now, computers, applications, internet, they themselves are assets for our social life. Today we say internet is a fundamental right of a person. In fact, like air and water, internet is a basic necessity. In fact, there are many countries who have declared it as basic necessity. So it is an asset without which we cannot live. That is the level of our digitization. Now, when we talk of social media like the Facebook, we have friends in Facebook. In fact, friends in Facebook are more valuable than friends in the physical world many times. Okay, that is the way our mindset is changing. Now, the emerging trend, if you look at, we are not looking at digitizing the physical asset. Assets are born in the digital world. That is the new category of assets. Take the example of something called a domain name of a website. You have heard of a domain name? www. National College, what is the domain name of National College? What is the domain name of National College? Yeah? What is the domain name of National College? They don't have a website? You have. Then what is the domain name? www.nationalcollege.com. .co.in. Okay, or .edu.in. .edu.in, no, .co.in. .co is normally for corporations and business entities. .edu is for educational institutions, I don't know. Now, this domain name, what is this domain name as an asset? Was it in existence in the physical world when National College was there? As a physical entity, it had an address, street and etc., etc. This domain name is a creation of the internet world. And is it an asset? Is domain name an asset? Is it an asset or it is not an asset? What are the characteristics of an asset? What do you call something an asset? What are the characteristics? Yeah? Something which has a monetary value, something on which ownership can be established and perhaps ownership can be transferred also. So, domain name, is there a value to the domain name? Yes, there is a cost of registration and there is a perceived market value. Say cost of registering National College .in may be 200 rupees per year, but will you sell that National College.in to somebody else? You will not, because there is a brand value to that. Okay, so perceived market value will be higher. So it is a property which has got a market value. It can be transferred. Okay, so that is an example of a pure virtual asset. Okay, which was not in existence before internet, it came into existence after internet. Now, we will be briefly talking about crypto assets, okay, because we are talking of blockchain translates into discussion on crypto assets. Now, these crypto assets are also pure virtual assets. You can't have a comparison of a crypto asset in the physical world. You have to try to understand it in the digital world itself. Then we have this rise of something called metaverse. You must have heard of metaverse, okay. There is an old website called secondlife.com. Now, of course, other kind of domain names and websites are coming. In this metaverse, you can create an avatar of yourself. You can become somebody else there. See, after all, in the email, we already know you can assume any name you want. If you are Ramesh, your email need not be ramesh@gmail.com. One, it will not be available, so you want to add some Ramesh 1234 or something like that. But you can always register, a Ramesh can register sushila@gmail.com. Is it not? That is where virtualization leads to an assuming of a new identity. This is possible. That is one of the features of internet which you may say is advantageous or disadvantageous, but it is possible. Twitter ID. Twitter IDs, number of fake IDs are in existence, we know. So, email IDs, Twitter IDs, we were always aware that it can be in an assumed name. But what has added in this emerging trend is you can create a 3D avatar of yourself. And the 3D avatar can interact on the website with other 3D avatars, but you don't know who is the person behind this 3D avatar. Just imagine the problems which this will give rise to the creation of the society. Now, this virtual society which we are creating is not simply a set of emails for all of us. If you have 100 people here, 100 emails, a WhatsApp group, that is a very simple form of digitization of your existence. But if all of you go into a metaverse website and each one of you assume some avatar of your own which the other person does not know, we will have 100 different persons there, you don't know who is who. That is the virtual world we are going to live in the coming days. In fact, in 2005 we came across this incident. Just to give you an idea that these sort of impersonation related issues are not something which has been created yesterday, day before yesterday after FinTech came or something like that. This was an actual case which happened in Coimbatore. One lady, 30 plus years, middle aged lady, she actually made a friend of a boy who was an NRI working in Gulf and developed a friendship, and when it was necessary, it was a friendship leading to intimate safe friendship, and when this boy asked for a photograph, this lady just picked up a photograph of a film actress and sent it. I forgotten who was the film actress, the famous Tamil film actress, her photograph she sent. So that boy was thinking that he is having a friend who is as beautiful as that film actress, and they went on negotiating for marriage, etc. And in the process, this person, this lady, extracted 3 to 5 lakhs worth of gifts from that boy, including laptop and other things, saying that, okay, in my family I am finding it difficult to send you emails, so why don't you give me a gift of a laptop? Those were the days when laptop was costing 2-3 lakhs or something like that. So this went on, and until one day he landed up here in Coimbatore to meet her, and that also she was not available. She said, my family is keeping me under lock and key. So even in Coimbatore, when he had landed up from there, she did not meet. Subsequently, it so happened that this person showed that photograph to one of his friends. See my fiancée, how beautiful she is. Then that person said she is a film actress, and then it became a case, and then of course that lady was arrested. Why I say this is, this so-called social world or the new world is so full of uncertainties. Now that is where we are living with it. As students, I want you to be aware of this virtual world. We are going to talk about using finance, fintech, having banking, that is fine. But these are examples which will tell you what are the risks of this emerging virtual world. You see here 2 persons. This girl, 16-year-old girl, committed suicide because of this person. This second person was the mother of the classmate of this 16-year-old girl. She opened a Facebook account, not Facebook account, I think another messaging account, as a 16-year-old boy, befriended with this girl, and after a couple of months, suddenly said, you are no longer my friend, I don't like you. It's called unfriending, unfriending on the Facebook. The girl's involvement in that friendship was so intense that this rejection made her commit suicide. You understand that this is not simple. In fact, even in physical friendship, of course, you know, in Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, we had one instance where physically, when somebody said, you are no longer my friend, that girl went and committed suicide, okay, the IIM student. Okay, so it happens in physical world, but remember, this social relationship in the internet is so strong that it leads to this kind of issues. You must have heard of this game called Blue Whale. Have you heard? This Blue Whale game is constructed or created by an expert psychologist. And the aim of this game is to entice the game player, who is normally a teenager kind of a person, and lead him to frustration and again commission of suicide. Why should any psychologist develop an app or something like that only for this purpose? That only shows that the human mind works in a crooked way whenever there is an opportunity. Okay. So, this is the virtual world. This is yet another instance where this Vinupriya, a girl from Salem, again committed suicide. I am talking of suicide because that is the highest level of price which citizens are paying for netizens not being ethical in their approach. I am talking of the netizen-citizen conflict, how netizens are attacking, I call them aggressive netizens, attacking citizens, docile citizens, and leading them to the ultimate in life, taking away the life. This case was a case where a morphed picture of that girl was used and it was sent to her parents. The sense of shame made her give up her life. Though she knew it was morphed, she was not able to convince her parents. Her parents were not ready to be convinced about the societal shame. The lack of understanding of the internet created a situation where she said she will no longer live. This is another case in Bangalore where a housewife lost about 25-30 lakhs to a Nigerian fraud. You have heard of Nigerian fraud, some lottery or something. Again here, the family was fully behind this lady, saying that don't worry, money has gone, we will try to do whatever it is. But still, that sense of guilt made her lose her life. Now, what are the learnings which we have to take from this? Netizens are creating a situation where citizens are paying the highest price with their life on certain occasions. Now, this is the world in which we are now trying to do our financial transactions, okay? And the web has transformed from the static websites to interactive websites, and now the new kind of websites with this metaverse and other things. Three trends which you should be wary of. One is, there is something called dark web, you know, that is the part of the web which is used by the criminal mafia. There is something called crime as a service. You can go to Google and say, I want a virus. There are people who are willing to sell you viruses for a price. You don't want to actually drop the virus. You can say, I want somebody to drop the virus on some other 100 people. There is a service. You want to get the credit card with CVV number. There may be somebody who is selling it. Crime as a service and this development of the deep web. This is one of the trends. Deep fake, I don't know whether you have heard of this deep fake. Deep fake is a level next to morphing. In morphing, you take a static picture, take a head and put it on another body or something like that, create a photoshopped image. In deep fake, you take a video and make another character exactly replicate in somebody else's face and lip movements and so on. You look at the video, you will see Barack Obama speaking, but actually it will be somebody else who is speaking. Imagine the kind of damages it can create in the physical society if somebody creates a deep fake of Narendra Modi and talking something ill of something which could create a riot in the country. That is deep fake. Deep fake is in videos, deep fake is in audio. It is one of the risks with which we have to live. Why this is happening? Because I see a tendency amongst the technology people of what I call as technology intoxication. What I mean by technology intoxication is, technology people are not worried about the effect of their technology on the society. They are doing things for their own, say, challenges. It's like people who do wheeling on the streets. They are doing wheeling for their personal pleasure, but if they create an accident, somebody else will get hurt. Technology people are today having this kind of technology intoxication, which is making it difficult for the normal society to adopt technology and use it as a measure of progress. This is the background with which I would like to discuss the crypto coins and the blockchain. Because normally we hear blockchain is a great technology, it is an innovation, it has to be welcomed with both arms. Bitcoin is also great. You don't require the banking system, you can bypass the banking system and do financial transactions. There are several advantages. And some of you are going to work in companies which are in this fintech area. Some of these fintech companies are going to be using blockchain and maybe also using the blockchain for cryptocurrencies. See, blockchain is a platform. It's like Windows is a platform, your Word or PowerPoint is an application, blockchain is a platform, is a technology. You can use it for Bitcoin, you can use it for some other purpose. What all of us need to know is, technology may be misused in a manner in which it may be hurting the society. That is why we have to look at this crypto system on the basis of these developments. There are also developments of the social media regulations. I will spend 1 minute on that, and privacy laws. I will spend another minute on that, not more than that. Subsequently, if you have got any questions, we will address that. But we will try to look at this blockchain and a crypto system. Most of the technology people say coding is like an expression. They want this constitutional right called freedom of expression being provided for writing of codes. So if you ask a technology person, why are you writing a code like this which is damaging, like say blue whale, he says it is my right. I will say whatever I want. Why should I be bothered if somebody commits a suicide about this? This kind of irresponsible approach to technology is prevalent. It should not happen. And most of this tendency gets developed during the age group in which all of you are in. So please keep this in the back of your mind. Now, social media regulation, basically the government of India is having a law called Information Technology Act. Under the Information Technology Act, the social media like your WhatsApp, Twitter, etc., Facebook, they are all called intermediaries, and there is a regulation for these intermediaries. One of the main regulation is to prevent fake accounts. Twitter, you know, recently Elon Musk wanted to buy out Twitter, then he dropped out because he said the number of fake accounts in Twitter is too high. Therefore, the valuation could not be accepted, and for that reason he actually gave up the contract to buy Twitter at a loss of $1 billion US. He paid the penalty for that, or he is going to pay. I think it is under negotiation, but he does not want to take Twitter because Twitter has got something like 25% fake accounts. There are many robots. We are talking of artificial intelligence, great as a technology. Artificial intelligence is used to create fake Twitter accounts and create fake Twitter messages. If there is any news item, this AI robo will create 1,000 news reports using that in different combinations and spread it out in different names. All those are fake IDs. So, this is one concern for the government of India, because this has been used extensively to spread disharmony in the society. Therefore, social media regulation is going to attack this. Nobody can have fake accounts. There has to be an identification, verifiability of the owner of the particular Twitter account. This is the crux of the regulation which is being brought in. Additionally, in the case of WhatsApp also, they are trying to say that once a message enters India, which was the first mobile in which that particular message was created and then forwarded, that tracing the origin of the mail is going to be made mandatory. Then all log records are to be maintained for 180 days, so that any crime investigations can happen, and any registration of new apps and other things have to be maintained for 5 years. So, these are some of the regulations which are there in the social media category. Privacy is a right which all democratic countries are trying to guarantee to their citizens. India also considers privacy, right to privacy, as a fundamental right. So, there is a set of laws. One set of new laws are expected very shortly, which will include these new technologies called blockchain, metaverse, artificial intelligence, etc. That is a different sphere of study. Now, we will come more to this Bitcoin and something called NFT, non-fungible token. Okay. These are crypto assets, and a lot of value is ascribed to that. People buy and sell. I will not be surprised if some of you are having Bitcoins. Any of you having Bitcoin? 1, 2. Yeah, there may be more also. Okay. So, what attracts you to this Bitcoin? That is something which we need to look at. There is no doubt that this is a technological marvel. It is a derivative of this blockchain, which we are going to try to understand what it is. Now, are these instruments, Bitcoin or NFT, instruments of progress or instruments of destruction of the society, is a question which I am trying to raise. Some of you should do a research on this. Do they adversely impact the current financial system and the developing of the fintech industry with much more of criminal activity? What is the use of developing fintech if criminals enjoy it more than we the users? See, GPay or PhonePe you are using. OLX came up with a beautiful concept of peer-to-peer selling of goods. But today, if you think of OLX, you think of frauds. You are aware of that? If you put up anything for sale in OLX, the first few enquiries which you get are from fraudsters. If you respond to that, probably you may be losing money. OLX is a great concept, but the security in OLX is so weak that it becomes a threat to us. Same way it can happen. Same way fintech industry is also in the danger of being taken over by the criminals. This is what I want you to remember. NFTs and metaverse, are they going to make things worse, is what you have to ask yourself. Now, I am sure tomorrow you are again discussing this blockchain, but it does not matter even if it is repeated, because this is a difficult concept to understand, and in the industry you will face this, and if there is this blockchain or emerging technologies as a subject in your curriculum, definitely you need to understand this. Now, what is this blockchain? There are various ways of explaining blockchain. Blockchain is a platform on which Bitcoin is created. That is one of the use cases we say. Okay. But blockchain basically is a system of storage of data and also authentication of data. System of storage of data and authentication of data. You have heard of centralized storage of data, that is data of, let us say, the entire organization is stored in one data center or one server, and hundreds of people are given access to that. You are given your password, you can access it with your password. That is centralization of data with access available to many. That many can be 100,000, 10,000. In case of Gmail kind of a thing, there could be millions. Okay. So, that is one way by which data is stored and used. In all those cases, there is one centralized database. At best, there will be a backup. We keep it for some kind of disaster recovery. But basically, there is one single set of data in a database. Occasionally, when the database is too large, we put it in 3-4 computers and then try to use, when a person wants to access it, he will be given access from one of the servers. That is something like called load balancing in terms of technology. But that is still centralized storage of data. In blockchain, what we do is, if there are 100 people, then this data is stored with each of these 100 people. Why do we do that? Once the data is available with all, nobody can change the data. If data is changed by one person, then another 99 correct data will be there. So, if there is a method by which you can synchronize the data in available with different people, that synchronization will show that earlier 100 synchronized data set was there, now it has become 99, and that therefore that modification should be something which is different from what 99 people have accepted, and under that logic, this is considered as an authentication of the correctness of the data. Remember, authentication means saying that some data is correct or not correct. Now, how do I do that? Suppose your professor comes here and says, this person's name is Vijayshankar. Okay. Is there any reason why you should all accept it is correct? That is authentication. He is a person on whom all of you have reposed confidence, and that one person giving a statement that this gentleman's name is Vijayshankar, you accept it. This is authentication. But let us say that we go into a blockchain system. Then all of you should vote. What is the name of this person? Vijayshankar, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Only if majority of you think I am Vijayshankar, that becomes authentication that I am Vijayshankar. Okay? That is the blockchain system. That is why we call it as a distributed ledgers system, where data is kept, and whenever it is to be updated, all these 100 people will be told this is the new set of data, you please add to the old data. So, old data plus new data, that becomes something which should be common in all the 100 people. Okay. And if there is any difference, that is not authenticated. If it is same, it is authenticated. It is a democratic process. In fact, in the Bitcoin, suppose there is a transaction of Bitcoin, okay. I sell some Bitcoin to you, you sell it to somebody, so some 8-10 transactions are there. There is a set of current ledger of all transactions of Bitcoin. Now, this old set, we call it as a block, okay. A block of transactions are there. Now, these new transactions come, we add that into the old block and create a new block, okay. It is like in a ledger page, old transactions are there, some new transactions are added, new balance is struck, okay. So, this is old block, add new transactions, create a new block. Now, this transaction record is maintained by all the 100 people. Therefore, at the end of this exercise, all 100 of you know that balance originally was 10,000, now because of this transaction balance became 15,000, something like that, let us say a bank kind of an account. Now, it cannot be changed to 14,000 or 20,000 because 100 people are associated with it. This is the principle of distributed authentication of transactions which happens in a blockchain. It is called a chain because you take the old set of transactions, add the new set of transactions, create a new block, and again you go on adding additional transactions, and it forms a kind of a chain. But every time there is no authentication per se as we know. For example, in a banking transaction, if you pay 10,000 rupees to me, the bank manager will sign on the check. That is an authentication. Here, you just say all the 100 people that you have paid 10,000 rupees to Vijayshankar. That is a statement you make which is distributed to all the people. Please keep this information with you. So that tomorrow if he denies that he has not transferred to me, or I deny that it has not been transferred, then all of you can come in and say, no, no, he has definitely transferred it. The logic is that if a majority of the people are aware of something as truth, that should be accepted as truth. This is the blockchain technology as I see it. Technologically, it is done in a particular manner. Are you able to follow this blockchain authentication? In FinTech particularly, we are used to, see in banks, we always have double authentication, in the sense a clerk will enter, officer will approve. There is a double authentication like your OTP system, okay, second factor authentication. Now what we are saying is, instead of 2 persons, we will give it to the entire community. For example, in the college, let us say, what is you are going to answer in the examination. Is your answer correct or wrong? You can ask the teacher, he can authenticate whether it is correct or wrong. Let us say we have another system. All the 1,000 students, this answer will be given. You have to tell whether it is correct or wrong. Probably majority of you will give the correct answer. Maybe we can use that as evaluation of the group. That is the blockchain methodology. That is, the data is shared with a number of people, and that number of people taking a particular viewpoint is considered as the authentication. Now, whether this kind of authentication works in FinTech or not is a matter which traditional bankers like us are not very comfortable with. Blockchain may work in certain cases like voters list or something like that, because there is a neighbor in your house, next to your house, that more than that BBMP person, you know whether he stays there or not, next neighbor knows, opposite person knows. So, if you use a blockchain technology for authenticating the voters list, maybe it will work because people near him are better in saying something is correct or wrong compared to an authority. But in financial transaction, if you adopt this, it will give room to frauds. In fact, in blockchain, there is something called a 51% fraud kind of a thing. That is, you have a cartel and that cartel will decide a particular transaction, then if it is wrong, it stays wrong. Okay. So, this is one of the aspects of blockchain. Otherwise, if you look at Bitcoin, how it works is that they give a time of about 10 minutes or so, in which all the transactions during that 10 minutes are collated, and they are all broadcast to a set of people. They are called nodes. That is, in Bitcoin there are nodes. At present there are about 50,000 nodes. That is, those computers which has a specific software, and that software will receive all the transactions for the last 10 minutes, and then you are supposed to create a ledger. That is, you have the previous block, now you have got a broadcast of transactions which is coming as and when transactions are happening, and then you start creating the ledger. For determining the perfect ledger, they have included something called a reward system. That is, these nodes will have to take the old block, add these new transactions, create a new block. This new block, you have to add one random number, okay, one random number. It is called a nonce value. Then this total file, that is the total file of the previous block, transactions plus a random number which you introduce, all that together is what we call as, it is hashed. What we mean by hash is, hashing is an algorithm which actually converts a digital file into a small number. So, that's a technology like encryption. You have heard of encryption, is it not? Like encryption, hashing is a technology. So, these people who are in control of these 50,000 nodes, they pick up the transactions and that software creates the hash of previous transactions plus these new transactions and a random number. This is not a tough task because there is a software which will do. But there is a challenge here. That is, you should choose such random number which is a nonce value, which when added and when you create the hash, this hash will be one of the lowest levels of hashes. So, some target is there, okay, like in high jump you have to cross a particular limit. Here your hash value should be below a particular limit. That is the challenge. So, it is like a lottery. You choose one nonce value, calculate the hash value, you will not succeed, choose another, like that. In this lottery, whoever succeeds, he is considered as a person who has created the new block, and that person will be rewarded today with 6.25 bitcoins as a reward. Okay. And that process is what we call as mining. Mining is, you are given a game, you are given some data and said you choose some nonce value, add, calculate the hash value. If you are successful, you are the winner. See, ultimately it is only that much. Am I correct? This Bitcoin mining is, you are given one set of files and said, along with this set of files, you choose some random number of your choice. Then calculate the hash value. If that hash value meets the target, then you will be considered as winner and you will be given 6.25 bitcoins. Each bitcoin today is worth how much? 18 lakhs and odd. So, the winner of this game of finding the right nonce value which gives you the hash value under the particular target is given 6.25 bitcoins. This is called mining, and this mining process creates this new bitcoins. That is where I say it has been created through a digital process. Then that owner of that successful hashing can use that 6.25 bitcoins and sell it, use it in whatever manner he wants. This is the Bitcoin mining process. This old hash value with this new hash value added and hashed, etc., is added and a larger block is created, and then it keeps on repeating over 7-8 minutes or an average of 10 minutes. That is why this is called a block chain. Block by block, old block, new transactions is new block, add that, the chain is created, next few sets. Each block creation will create this 6.25 bitcoins for the successful person. There are some other rules and regulations because this algorithmic driven work. Okay. So, that is blockchain and Bitcoin. Any questions on this? Any questions? Are you able to understand? Pardon? The entire crypto market uses blockchain, okay. Whether it is for Bitcoin, there are other things called Ethereum, something else XYZ, there are about 12,000 Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, all of them use this platform, okay. Now, technology people are saying that you can use this for other applications. I gave you one example like this evaluation of answers, okay. Now, in a mathematical question paper, there is only one answer. Now, you as a teacher will have to go through every this thing and check. You can always decentralize that verification, okay. So, you can say that is an application. In banking, people are using it, but not as this public ledger. What they do is, instead of broadcasting it to hundreds of people, okay, they actually have a private blockchain. That is, say 10 officers of the organization, they are the nodes. So, this broadcast will go only to those 10 people, they can authenticate. But that is nothing different from what we are doing today. Today we are having two authentications, clerk and an officer. Now, instead of going to one officer, if you want to spread it to 7-8 officers, it is okay. But beyond that, banking transactions or fintech, in my view, I am a very traditional banker, please remember that, okay. Tomorrow when you talk to real technology people, you question them, okay. For me, financial transaction authentication has to have an authentication of an authority. See, you can ask for these individual questions, somebody can tick, but pass or not, only your principal or organization has to decide. You cannot make that also a blockchain methodology, then every student will pass everybody else, is it not? So, that is where we are in understanding that blockchain has its own inherent differences. It was created for Bitcoin, there it worked in the initial days, it was fine, but whether it can work in every other circumstance, I do not know, okay. Now, I am giving you the facts, you please decide. In fintech, we have got other problems that Bitcoin is today 18 lakhs, okay. Now, this Bitcoin mining is actually an anonymous transaction because it's all encrypted. You are not able to identify who is the owner. So, if that is the situation, though the perception is different, everybody thinks Bitcoin is a currency, is it not? Your perception is Bitcoin is a currency, but currency, remember, RBI only can issue, others cannot issue anything called currency. If somebody says it's a currency, it is illegal. To say something a currency is illegal. So, Bitcoin is called a currency. It is used for exchange of goods. In fact, Amazon and others, you can exchange the goods, but using it like a barter system in a kind of currency substitute is illegal because RBI is the only authority which can issue currency. Which means that everybody who is using Bitcoin, you have to question yourself. In law, there is also another problem. Many of you may be knowing a law of property. Now, suppose you are buying a property from X, you are Y. You are paying money and buying the property. You say, I am the owner. But suppose somebody comes back and say, X was not the owner. He had a defective title. Do you understand that? X himself, who sold it to you, was a person who was not the owner of the property, or his title was not good. It is because some minors were there or something like that. You know, in property transactions, so many disputes come. Then this purchaser of this property, though he has made payment of money, though he was not aware that this previous person did not have the title, he will not get a proper title. This is a legal principle that every person can transfer title to another person only to the extent of his own good title. In a Bitcoin, which is not a currency, it is a property, digital file. If the previous person is a thief, the person from whom you purchase it, you will not get the title for the Bitcoin. Are you getting that point? Now, Bitcoins have been used for drug trafficking, crimes. All ransomware people take Bitcoins as reward. That is a reward for a criminal activity, and that person, if he wants to sell it to somebody else, then the buyer will not get a legal title. Are you getting it? It is like selling stolen property. Currency is an exception, but this cannot be called as a currency. Yeah.
Contract Act, we study that the holder in due course must get a better title.
That is only for negotiable instruments.
Now, Bitcoin is a controversy for the basic contract conditions only.
No, this is not Contract Act, it is Negotiable Instruments Act. Under Negotiable Instrument Acts, a check, a bill of exchange, and a promissory note. These are the three instruments which are called negotiable instruments, which can create a holder in due course. That is, if a person acquires this instrument in good faith and for consideration without the knowledge of defective title, he can claim real title even though his transferor did not have the title. This applies only to negotiable instruments, not to cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is like a property. It is an electronic document.
There is a law for cryptocurrency that holder in due course.
You have to create that. See, today, even lorry receipts and your warehouse receipts or say shipping documents, they are transferred by endorsement and delivery, but they are not negotiable instruments. They are quasi-negotiable instruments, we say. Am I correct? People, you have studied that in commerce. They are quasi-negotiable. That is, apparently property can be negotiated by handing it over to another person, but the title cannot be better. That is applicable only to these three negotiable instruments. Unless a cryptocurrency is declared as a negotiable instrument, this will not happen. Therefore, there is a legal risk in acquiring any Bitcoin because 99.5% of Bitcoin has gone through at least one criminal in its past life cycle. from mining to today. Suppose you have mined it and I am buying it from you, I am sure that there is no defective title, if I know you are the miner. But today mining is impossible, because cost of mining a Bitcoin is more than 18 lakhs. Okay? Because that much of electricity is required, time is required. So if anybody wants to acquire Bitcoin, they can only buy from an existing person, and that existing person or person behind him, it may go to the Silk Route, the drug trader or somebody like that. Okay? So therefore, I have an argument that it is very difficult to find a clean Bitcoin. Therefore, that legal risk is very, very real.
Sir, I have read generally. An income is an income.
Ah.
It is legal or illegal.
Ah.
For which I am going to pay tax.
Ah.
Bitcoin is an income for me. Even if it is illegal, I must have the better title when I am holding it.
No, say taxation is different from.
No, ultimately I am paying tax.
No, you pay tax.
Yes.
Yeah, just because you pay tax, you will not become a owner of a particular property.
That's the authentication. That's the authentication.
No, then all Benami properties, why ED should take over the property?
Yes, once I pay tax, I have given authentication.
No, no. When you pay tax, you create one revenue document to say that it is in your name. But beyond that, it cannot clean up the title. We can discuss this subsequently, later, okay? Revenue documents create a record. Even if you take a property, you buy a property, you register with BBMP. BBMP will give you a Khata certificate, okay? But Khata certificate is not the title deed.
Sir, wealth tax is different from income tax.
Agreed?
I am talking income tax.
Now, because you pay income tax on an asset, it will not determine the ownership of the asset. That is my point. We will discuss that in detail. Maybe we will discuss later on of course with Girish also. Okay? One to one. Okay? So, this risk of lack of title in the previous transferor is a tough thing. Now, India doesn't have a cryptocurrency law. Okay? RBI wanted to do, Finance Ministry overruled them, because there is nothing better than Bitcoin for political corruption. There is nothing better. It is good for criminals. It is good for terrorists. Okay? And for genuine people, you can buy a property as well as this. You can, I think I had some, this thing, okay. Okay, we'll, that is, we'll wind up. Okay? Yeah. So, Bitcoin is like what I say, now this is something which people will be unhappy, but I will show it to you. Okay? This is what I call as the blockchain. Okay? If everybody says this is a cow, this is a cow, this is a cow majority, then it is considered as a cow. That is the blockchain. Okay? Take it in lighter vein. Okay? Technology people will be hurt if I say this. Okay? Now, if you are dealing with Bitcoin, you have to remember this. You are playing with fire. If you are lucky, you enjoy. If you are not lucky, yeah. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋ ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದಿದೆ ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ ಓಕೆ ಹಾಂ ಓಕೆ at least the other person is a little careful, cautious person. Okay, this person, see there are a lot of advantages of blockchain, advantages of Bitcoin, and when I first spoke about Bitcoin in 2013, when the first Bitcoin conference happened in Bangalore, I was also enamored by the technology aspect of it. But today, imagine, because this is anonymous, if every one of us convert all our bank deposits into bitcoins, which we can do if it is regularized. Why should we hold our bank deposits and become taxable or identifiable for taxation? We will all convert it into bitcoins. Then our rupee bank deposits will become zero. Technically, what will be the impact on the society? The total market capitalization of cryptocurrencies today is $1 trillion US, equivalent to M3 supply in India. If government says, I legalize cryptocurrency, it becomes fungible. Inflation will go up by 100%. Okay. So this is some of my thoughts. NFT is different. Maybe tomorrow you discuss NFT differently. We will stop here. You can get a lot of information in this website, navi.org. Okay. Thank you. This is yours, I think. Okay.
Ravi, sir. Am I audible? Am I audible? Navi, sir, Mr. Vijayshankar Nagaraj Rao, sir, you have left us dumbstruck. We really admire your enthusiasm and zeal at this age towards presenting the most happening topic, rise in digitalization. Thank you for helping us understand the concept better with plenty of examples to make us aware of the challenges of digitalization and the ways to prevent them. Your simple way of putting the concept of blockchain, Bitcoin, it was really excellent, sir. But I think for students, they needed much more. So maybe next time we will take one more session with you to make this concept much easier to us. I am happy and grateful for the time you spent with us, right from the inauguration to your formal presentation, sir. Your deep connection with internet has benefited us. Extremely thankful to this netizen on behalf of BVJ Science Center, KSTA, and the Department of Commerce. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We have come to the end of a very important, fruitful day. Now I request Professor Satya Sharma to give concluding remarks about the proceedings of the day.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. We had a very busy day today, in the real sense. Being commerce students, we are gifted with the very good speakers today, starting from Chartered Accountant Pavanpal Sharma, Dr. Girish, and the senior person Vijayayshankar sir. The focus of the today's talk was, of course, fintech and blockchain. Starting from the scratch, you can say, definition and meaning of fintech till the discussion has gone up to, you can say, boiled up to whether Bitcoin is legal or illegal. Though the discussion could have extended, arguments would have resulted in positive results, the patience has warned us that enough for today. Because normally we learn something, we unlearn something, and we relearn many things. Today's process was the same thing. Classroom learning and the webinar learning are totally two different dimensions. In classroom learning, we stick on to the book and the notes. Whereas in webinar learning, we have a domain of learned people executing their knowledge, sharing their knowledge for the common good. I am very happy that our students have been benefited with the talks of these experts. I thank each one of them on behalf of my department, on behalf of my dear students and my learned colleagues. I'll be failing in my duty if I don't extend my thanks to Nataraj sir, who is behind the entire program. We are in the midway of the program. Tomorrow it is continued for BCA students. You are also welcome. There is no, no entry board over here. Tomorrow's talks are also very fruitful. Teachers, colleagues, and my dear students, have a very nice time with this knowledge. Add value to your personality. Thank you very much.
Now I request dignitaries on the dais to distribute certificates to the participants. A few certificates. I call upon the names, please come up and collect your certificate. Shashank K. Come fast. Shilpa SR. Mahesh N. Sudarshan. Arshita MK. Lakshmi Narayan. Lakshmi Narayan P. Anuja R. Thank you, Girish sir. Now I request Vijayayshankar sir to distribute a few certificates. Pratap L. Pratap L. Pooja S. Thank you, Vijayayshankar sir. Now I request Professor K.S. Nataraj to distribute few certificates. Rakesh Singh. Rakesh Singh. Vidyashri. Vidyashri, yes. Now, thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Satya Sharma sir to distribute a few certificates. Manoj H. Manoj. Bhavana GM. Bhavana GM. Sorry, Bhavana GM. Hemant Kumar L. The remaining students can collect from our volunteers, collect the certificates from our. So, thank you one and all. Dear students, snacks is arranged outside, so you can have the snacks, and you can come back for the.
Hello. Sir, just a minute. Leave your bags in the place. Come here for a group photo. After we click win, you can take your bags, take the certificates, and then go for a high tea. After the photo, there will be a QR code that would be displayed on the screen. You shall scan it and submit the feedback for the day. After submission, you will have your high tea.
Guys,
Please
kindly stay back and
arrange
fill the
yourself.
feedback form.
Leave. You can go behind. Few people can kneel down in the front here. Girls, make it up faster. Come. Teachers, please, you are also requested to join for the photo. Boys, please come. You will have to make place for yourself. Move. Spread out, girls, come here. You can also.